Hey everyone, welcome to What the Flick. The Americans, episode 10 of season 5, Darkroom, Meredith, Ben, Alonso. I almost cried this week.
Really?
Where? That wedding scene was amazing. And not just for the bit being a wedding and finding out their names, but coming on the heels of finding out that they still got to work the wheat people.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that, I mean, their looks of
like,
man, this actress
really?
is so good now, man. And all these shows, Better Call Saul and The Americans, there's so much where you're like, oh, that is a depressed, sad.
The glance says it all.
Like, we do not want to go back there because it's hurting our marriage.
Yeah.
And like they want to, like she's coming around. She's coming around to like the appeal of, let's just go to Toronto. Raise our kids there. Call this off.
Yeah, so I mean, so just after that moment, the idea that like, you know what? All right, let's do this thing that we never did, that was never officially done, that we've been faking all this time in a way to sort of remind ourselves that like, yes, this is the gig, but we have each other to come home.
So this is going to expose me for as dumb. What was with the rings they put in their little safety area?
I think that was their real wedding bands versus the fake wedding bands.
So they're continuing to wear the fake wedding rings.
Right.
So he got special extra rings.
Yeah.
They just used the rings they had.
Right. Yeah. They're still wearing their KGB rings.
Yeah.
You know, they're putting away the real ones. So yeah, no, I thought that was really amazing this week. But it's such a good episode.
It suggests that if there are at most 16 episodes left, assuming next season is a full season, which we're not even sure of, but generally FX seems to be pretty consistent in that regard, that they're not going to get split. You know, this maybe, but the suggestion here is that they're
a unified
front. They're a team down the stretch here, which is nice.
You know, I loved the thing about when they're, you know, after the double date where she's like, so if the resident tour center, so what? And he's like, I don't want Sedan to wind up like Martha. It's like.
Yeah, he's like, hey, look, I like people.
Yeah. You know, there's this level of humanity there, which, you know, I think often on the show they have to suppress themselves. You know, they know that they're doing shitty things to the Russian family. You know, the shit in the locker and the affair. And they are totally playing those people just to make them go back to the Soviet Union so that they can then spy on the CIA guy. But yeah, they are not soulless. They're not heartless.
But Philip has always had that more attachment to, you know, the people around. Where Elizabeth, we only saw that sort of attachment last season.
Right. And well, because he's the one going to Est too, and talking about how we're all
so
machines.
I imagine there are a lot of people who went to Est in the 70s who feel a little vindicated by the show. like it's not
like it wasn't total horseshit.
It wasn't total kookiness. It was just like group therapy.
Yeah.
You know.
It was like the pre-CBT cognitive behavioral therapy in a lot of ways. Like what they're saying reminds me a lot of like the CBT sessions.
If this was if Est were happening now and we're called something else, right? It would just be a thing that a lot of people did. Yeah, go and we just sort of learn how to be better in touch and more present in our lives.
We put our screens down and we talk to each other and make eye contact.
Right.
Yeah.
Sort of, and obviously it's had a profound impact on Philip.
And I think in the culture, that became such a running gag for so long. Like you look at sort of late 70s comedies and like semi-tough. Like there was the joke version of S. And so this show kind of dares to take it seriously and thinks about it in terms of these people who are leading these lives that are of lies.
I keep waiting for the S scene to be mockable, and they have not had one. Right? No. They haven't. They do take it quite seriously. I think we should really talk about the end because but that's a massive passive aggressive move by Paige. It's cool. Kids can do it if they don't know how to tell their parents something important.
Right.
And it's not, and it wasn't passive aggressive in an I gotcha moment. It was please, maybe now you'll see me.
See,
right.
I really thought it was a cry for help.
Yeah, right.
Because you know, from the first part of the episode to the end, I'm starting to actually honestly fear that either Paige or maybe even Pasha might commit suicide.
Pasha is set for TV suicide.
Yeah, like this is like it's all the kernels are there, but I'm wondering if they might go there with Paige because she is not in a good place.
It would be an American's thing to set up Pasha for it.
But
and then
have it be Paige.
No, it's totally a cry for help. I mean, the look on her face where she's like, read this, look at this. Could we please acknowledge that this is what you've done to me? You know?
Right. That she'll never be able to trust again, and I hope she has sex with Matthew. That would help.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, she, you know, I mean, just her connection.
If it's
Yeah.
good sex,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
I don't mean
not clumsy high school boy sex. You know, nobody wants that.
But you're right.
When we're in high school, how are we supposed to do it? We're clumsy and we're in high school.
I think of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Like that's all I know about high school straight sex. That's terrible.
But I see what you mean. She needs a connection, like an honest connection with the person, because she doesn't have that. Like I thought for a moment, her and her dad and Philip were going to have a really much deeper scene on the couch there. Like I feel like Philip is primed to just be honest and open with Paige and to allow that in, but there's still that wall there.
Yeah, and there's the resistance that Elizabeth still has to what, and partially because it was Philip who heard it, to what Gabriel said. Like Philip has now told her, and he mentioned it again this episode. Like he said this was a huge mistake. Paige is not ready for it. He met with Paige. He'd been looking forward to it. Like Gabriel, and he's a handler. He's a great reader, and he thought right away, nope, wrong. Yeah. Right, this is not what she shouldn't be in this life, and Elizabeth's still resistant to it.
But the thing is, it's like the damage here is so much deeper than them telling her, because before that, if you recall, she was like suspicious and knew there was things that they weren't talking about, and she could. I mean, like she was growing up in a home of secrets, you know, which is like having an alcoholic or whatever in the house, or like there's shit going on and we don't know what it is and we don't talk about it, but it's everywhere and it's on all the things. And so even if they had somehow managed to keep Paige in the dark, everything else that happened in her upbringing was going to screw her up anyway.
I wonder if we're going to get a moment where the Americans actually seem like the good guys in this show, right? Like because there's only one as parents, they only have one choice. The only thing they can do is get out. Tell Paige, you know what? This is it. We're done. That was a terrible thing we did. We did tell you about it. Maybe she can come to accept that part. We love you. We're quitting. We're talking to the FBI. We're cutting a deal. We're going to go live in Phoenix. This is it. We're done. And then would Stan, is that possible in exchange for, because they're incredibly valuable, right? Would Stan help them in that regard?
Or would he feel so betrayed?
And then would we be and then would the Russians come after them, and we would finally be like, sort of like what we're used to, the way we're used to rooting for stuff from the 80s when we finally have.
But that's kind of the thing about this show. It's like you don't think of them as these horrible people.
No, they're not.
And they're good at their job and they care for each other and they're on mission. They aren't cruel and they aren't sadistic. They're doing this because they feel called to do it. But then you step back and you start looking at what have they done to Paige? What have they done to Henry?
What did they do to the guy in Wichita?
Yeah, right? Exactly. And just those moments where they have to like do something despicable, where it's like, oh yeah, right. I mean, like you're good at your job, but your job kind of sucks.
And but Philip said, to the point of liking his core, he was like, yeah, that cannot happen again. Like if I kill someone, I'm going to kill a spy. Somebody in this field. I'm not killing a researcher working on ways to feed the frickin' world.
Right. And so the fact that he cares about Martha, he cares about Stan, like he's not, he is a human being. And so that's what's so wonderfully kind of rich and complex about this show, is that like they aren't villains, they aren't heroes.
That's right.
But they have to live every day with the shit that they do and what it does to other people. And we have to look at them and decide what we think about them.
Well, and take for instance any American spy movie where we see an American agent just go and like blow up, shoot, or like break the neck of any foreign spy. We're okay with that. We don't think twice about them being a bad person. That's like you were saying. That's what I love about this, is we're forced as Americans to look at like, hey, this is a far more nuanced world than media leads us to believe or propaganda has led us to believe. And good people do bad things in the name of their causes.
I'm reading a novel now about the set in Nazi Germany, and the main characters are in the French Resistance. And one of the characters, it's over 3 books, and you've grown to like enormously, but they're about to attempt some degree of sabotage at a U-boat base now in France, and he has grown incredibly as he walks past these guards, and he's in a fake Nazi uniform, and he salutes them, and he walks past because they've seen him before, and so they just think he's an officer, and he thinks those kids are about to die in this, and they just joined up. They think they're doing their job. They're not committed. I mean, maybe they are, but there's a degree of that we and we're like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter, guards. You know, that's why I loathed whatever. What was it called? London Has Fallen.
Oh God,
to me, because it was whatever. It was a 10 bridges too far of just killing guys. I'm like, hey, I got it. He's on the other side. You're breaking his neck, and you love that he's suffering. Like, what? When did we decide that this was okay? So it's the way propaganda has made us feel. I mean, I get it. I know the Nazis were the bad guys, and I know Nazi soldiers had to go to win the war. But
you watch like Das Boot or something, and you're like, they weren't necessarily all like super down for the party. They were just 19.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Oleg this week.
Oleg, yes.
That was a lot of. I love a lot of that was his scenes were in silence. The dinner scene. That was just so. I just like watching it. Also, can Oleg's dad play Putin in a biopic? Because really, every time he's on screen, I'm like, I think I just saw you on TV.
The volumes of shit that Oleg's parents don't say to each other that you just watch in those very tense silences is really great. That's and I forget this is a performance that's being almost entirely given in Russian. This actor is so good.
He's so great, and he's revealing a lot. I mean, he is telling his partner. He's talking. We don't know. That guy seems like he's an old school guy who sees the change coming. And, but obviously that guy is quite capable of getting Oleg in tremendous trouble.
Yeah. So I think, but Oleg by telling.
He's been careful. He hasn't told him everything.
But I also think by telling him, it might also help Oleg in the long run. He's like, look, I don't have anything to hide, so I'm going to open up to you. But he's honest about the fear of how the regime. I'll bring we'll talk about in Fargo, but there was a scene in Fargo where the Russian actor in there was saying how there's 3 truths. And then one of them is the untruth, which is Putin's truth, and that can even go further back in Russian, society during like pre-Gorbachev things. Is that whatever the Russian government says is true, and that's what Oleg and that's what he said basically last night.
Yeah, they decide. Yeah, they decide what's true. They decide what you did if they want to. But I missed the part where he told him that he was still upset about
Nina. I
don't think that.
That wasn't Nina?
That wasn't.
It was in the previously.
Yeah, but I didn't see.
In another episode.
Was that Nina that he was talking about?
That was the last. I think it was.
Maybe it was.
Was it, or was his mother having gone to the prison camp?
But
maybe I missed it. Maybe it wasn't Nina because I couldn't remember her name. But he's honest. I mean, he's perfect. I hope they don't kill him because he'll be very valuable for the new Russia.
Yes.
Like that guy would be.
He's got perestroika written all over him.
Right, but he does have secrets, of course. I mean, he says I have nothing to hide, but he has plenty to hide.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
But he's playing it up really well.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Exceptional show. We'll be back next time. Thanks for watching.
Pastor Tim, sorry.
Oh God, Pastor! Stop! Fucking Pastor Tim. How did I forget?
Yeah.
Okay. So do we? Are they writing him off? Is this a possibility?
Maybe, I don't know. I have no information.
Okay.
Whether my friend has been written off. My hunch is that won't work.
No. Because he knows. He sees through it.
Right, but then he said that thing to Paige. He said, I can't believe that he's dollar billed too. But he said, you're great, you're doing great, you got nothing to worry about. And she looks at him like, read your diary, man.
Like don't sell me up.
But what if the PJ is not Paige? What if he's talking about someone else entirely in that diary and she just
oopsie doopsie.
Right, this is my friend. Right. Paul Johnson. Man, I gotta tell you, his parents are the worst.
And in the reality, he's like talking about like an abusive family situation, like something like we find out he's like a, God forbid, like a sexually abused kid he's helping. So like, what if it is just another?
No. He says I've seen sexual abuse and this is worse.
That's right. That's right. You're right. So I don't know.
Yikes. Anyway, but the Pastor Tim, who knows? We'll have to find out.